Hi guys, Wellness Wednesday, and today we're talking about climbing out of the hole. So all month has been grief and trauma and how to support others through it. And this week we are talking about depression. So to describe emotionally what you feel like when you are experiencing depression, it is like you are in the bottom of a deep dark hole. And so we want to talk about that aspect today because in my experience, I have learned that there's no way around the grief. There's no way around it. Like the only way is through it, and you have to experience it. And it's okay, and you have to honor those feelings and those emotions and those thoughts. But it comes a time when you have to make a conscious decision that you're going to start feeling better, that you're going to start climbing out. And so some days it may just, when you're just beginning to want to start shedding more light into your life, it may just be the effort for the day is going to take a shower and get ready, and that's going to make you feel a little better. But each day, just making that conscious effort, and we know that our emotions are fueled by our thoughts. And so when we are so consumed with those horrible thoughts and feelings, we know we need to trace it back to the thought and change the thought. And one of my counselors would tell me a lot, we'd talk about ruminating, and I even had to Google what that word was. And ruminating is just like marinating in those bad experiences. So it's like you have the bad experience and you just replay it over and over and over in your mind. And when you are doing that, you really are fueling that fire of grief and hopelessness and despair. And so we really get to choose what fire it is that we want to fuel.
Because don't you feel like, so when you're having a thought or an emotion, your brain will literally look for evidence of that, right?
So it wants to validate what you're
what you're
seeking.
feeling.
Yeah.
So if you are saying, oh my gosh, this is so hard, sorry, there is light on my face, so I'm trying to get out of the light. There we go. Just the fact that this sucks, this is so hard, and then your brain's like, yeah, this does suck, and yeah, this is happening, and this didn't go well, and so it literally is like fueling whatever fire your thought or your intention is, right? And so if you intentionally plant seeds of gratitude, or Katee has a really cool story about this, but when you have a positive thought, then you're like, oh my gosh, this person showed up for me, right? Like, I am so grateful for this. Then your brain's going to be like, oh yeah, and this person showed up, and look at how brave my kids are being, and they were so helpful last night, and we slept good, and I'm so grateful that they're healthy. And so then your brain's going to fuel this fire of gratitude and positivity.
It's a total shift. So if you experienced that before, you know what it feels like to shift. And I was encouraged recently, when you just feel like the tears are not stopping, that's a good thing. It's part of cleansing and healing. You need to cry. But she told me to change the focus to gratitude tears. And when I was ruminating and thinking about all the things that were going wrong, you're just sobbing for all the things going wrong. But it was okay, I'm going to just think about what has been miracles. What have I witnessed through this hard thing? Who are the people that have showed up? The service that has been rendered? My kids, things that was still making me have emotion and cry, but it was shifting that strong emotion from painful to just gratitude. Just so grateful that I've been given the tools to withstand this trial.
Yeah, I love that. Let's talk for just a second about what causes your body to feel like it's in that depressive state, right? So when it's really just a stress response within the body. So when we experience a stress or a trauma, our body is triggered and has emotions and chemical reactions that cause it to be in either fight, flight, or freeze mode. And so when I went through my really stressful time, I felt like my emotion or my reaction was more anxiety, anxious emotions. And it was flight, like get out of here, let's run. Like I would literally go to the gym for 2 hours every day, because that's the amount of time they would keep my daughter at the daycare. That sounds so terrible, but they would only keep her for 2 hours. So I would go in
If
there
they
and
kept her for 3, you'd be running for 3.
would just work out as hard as I could, lift as heavy as I could, and just until I was physically exhausted, so that when I left, all I could do was lay on the floor. Like I had to physically get all of that energy out of me, right?
Yeah.
So tell them what it feels like to be in the freeze state, what that
And this
feels
is interesting because my body literally just like shuts down. Like it is like, good night. Like we are going to avoid this altogether. So just go to sleep. Like my whole body is just exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what she's referring to when you freeze. Like my brain, I would try so hard, and I would write down a list of like what I needed to do, my agenda, like what I needed to do, and I would just stare at it blankly. Like I don't even know where to begin, just brain fog and like needing to sleep. And I feel like you need to honor that, and you need to sleep. Like your body is emotionally running a nonstop marathon, that it's important that you do take that time to rest. But for me, it was like I hit this point where it was like, okay, I can't do this. I've got to feel better. And I think it is more in my experience like my why, like why do I want to feel better? And it was robbing me of time with my kids, and I already need to I already share time with them, with their dad. And when I have them, I want to be present, and I want to enjoy, and I want to be a source of comfort for them and joy.
Yeah.
And like it's okay to mourn and to be sad. You have to experience it. It is the only way to healing, is to experience that and get through that. But I just felt like I hit a point where it was like, no, I want better. Like I want better. And so I have to start doing things that will fuel the energy and shift that vibration, that energy for me, raise my vibration. And it doesn't feel natural or comfortable. Like our body always gravitates what is easy and what will bring pleasure. And so for me, it was like, no, I just want to stay in bed, and I don't want to eat. Like I just want to be miserable. It's so weird that we like want to feel that. But it was like, after a period of time, it was like, okay, what do I need to do? What are the habits that I acquired when I'm feeling good? And that's what I've really, really learned, is like life habits are amazing when you feel good, but when you've like made this routine into your life, that's what will carry you through those really hard freeze times.
Yeah. Critical.
And so even though I wasn't waking up at 5:30 or 6 to go to the gym and work out, I was still waking up at that time and having that time to myself before my kids woke up. And I was meditating, and I was doing all like my journaling and those things that were still like the habit of waking up early was still proven to be helpful during this hard time. Or like my vitamins and my adaptive, like I had acquired that habit long before. They were my prenatals with all my babies. So I've been doing that for years and years. And even though it wasn't like instantly helping me and making me feel better, I know that those vitamins and nutrients are so important, because truly sadness and grief, it literally pulls the nutrients from your body. Like stress literally pulls calcium and vitamin D from your body. And that is so strange. So to build up those stores again, like continue with the vitamins and the adaptive. But Amanda's going to talk a little bit about, or were we done about the fight or flight? No, you haven't really explained. Have you?
Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah, this is totally fine. The adaptive is really designed to help you with that stress response within your body. And so it literally helps to shift the chemical reactions that are happening in your body, because you can't stop the stress and you can't stop your body's natural reaction. But when you're supplementing with these things that are helping that, supporting those calming chemicals within the body, it's going to, like Katie said, sometimes it's not an instant relief, but it's going to help you to shift your body every day. And even if you are, like Katie was talking about, raising your vibration, sometimes that's just baby steps. Like, you may have a list of things that help you to be in a higher vibrational, more positive, energetic state, right? Like exercising and going to the gym. But some days, like, that's not feasible. Like, your body literally cannot do those things. And so maybe it's just baby steps, like getting out and walking to the mailbox, or walking around the block, or showering, or, you know, turning on a funny movie, like something to laugh at. Like, baby steps can be so important in helping you to crawl out of that hole step by step. But like Katee said, with those habits, if this is not a habit, you know, you're not used to taking vitamins, or you're not taking adaptive or using oils, these are things that you can start implementing because you have the desire to feel better. I had a loved one that was going through a really hard time, and I would literally text her every morning and be like, did you take your adaptive? Did you put your oil on? Just put it over your heart and smell it. And just baby steps every single day. Over a week or two later, she was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, like, I am wanting to move forward with projects, and I'm wanting to be around people again. And so it's like just those baby steps and being diligent about doing those can make all the difference.
Totally.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about our oils for the week. So these two are our adaptive oil. So we had been talking about the adaptive capsules, and these are meant to be used together. And then our elevation. And as we were reading through the book about this elevation before we started, it truly is just like, feels like it gives you life in those times of despair and hopelessness. It's the oil of joy, but says it combines powerful mood stabilizing oils with joy-filled oils that evoke happiness. And it says that it helps to have those negative habits lose their appeal, like those things that Katee was talking about, where you want to just stay in bed or eat junk or not exercise. Those negative habits start to lose their appeal, and you start to see, you know, the possibility in doing those things that do help you to feel better. It says it elevation supports individuals in flowing with life and remaining in peace and light. It redirects the brain pathways. This is what I love, that they truly work on a neurochemical level within your body. So it helps to redirect the brain pathways to transform despair into happiness and joy. Do you want to tell them your experience of putting that on?
Yeah, so just right now, when we were getting ready to do this, I grabbed the elevation, and I just seriously felt like something was happening right then. Like, I could feel, I don't know, something was shifting with my heart. Like, I instantly felt elevated, totally. But I think it's when you're in those times that you feel the biggest shift.
Mm-hmm.
So it might seem like stupid and too simple that you could put on an essential oil and it could really help your emotional state, but that is the whole purpose. That is exactly why we use them, and encourage everybody else to use them also. Something that she said in that definition, that she said that it will help you to flow with life. I really like that, because I feel with grief, it comes in waves, and you don't resist it, or like you will drown.
Right.
Like, you just go with the flow, and you go when you feel good, like enjoy it when you feel good, and then when you're down, like experience that and get through it, but just go with the flow of life, not trying to resist and not trying to like ignore it. That's like denial.
So honoring those emotions, I love that. And I also feel like the adaptive, specifically the capsules, but also the oils, help you to like get off that emotional roller coaster. So you're not too high with the highs and you're not too low with the lows. It feels a little more stable.
Even.
How it was talking about those mood stabilizing oils, that's literally what it's doing, is helping to make you more even keel and not so up and down all the time, and so emotionally reactive to events that are happening in your life, right? Because you can't stop the events, right? And so it makes it so that you're less emotionally reactive.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, okay, go ahead.
So this one is our adaptive, and this one says it conveys softly the truth that most of life is beyond the individual's ability to control. So just realizing that it is out of your control, and that the safety is only found in the arms of the divine. So this helps you to turn it over to your higher power and to really rely on that. And then it says it asks individuals to exercise faith that they will be carried when they no longer know the way, and to believe that they are never alone. So I love that, because in those times of despair, like what we talked about, when you're feeling that fire of despair, this helps you to remember that you are never alone, and that you are being carried, even if you don't know what the next step is or the next direction or what life's going to bring next, right?
Yeah, and when you're that low, you feel so isolated, like nobody understands what I'm going through and nobody can help me. Like that is exactly where I found myself feeling a lot of the time. And really just realizing that those thoughts are like extreme, right? Like there's always somebody that can help you and you're never alone. So I just love that this essential oil is helping to foster those emotions of security and safety and knowing that you are never alone, for sure.
Yes, I love that. Anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
Okay, I hope this month has helped with grief and trauma. If you're looking for more support, make sure to follow us. You can join our next boot camps. You can connect with us through DM or different ways. But we look forward to seeing you guys next week.